I want to tell you about a man named James. James had a Quaker parrot named Milo for 11 years. Milo was the first thing James heard every morning and the last thing he checked on every night. And one Tuesday in March, James came home from work, walked to Milo's cage the way he had 10,000 times before, and Milo was gone. The vet told James that Milo had been showing signs of serious illness for at least 2 weeks before that Tuesday. 2 weeks. James had seen every single one of those signs. He just did not know what he was looking at. This video is the one James wishes someone had put in front of him 3 weeks earlier. I am putting it in front of you now. Before we go through what James saw, I need to explain something that makes all of this harder. Quaker parrots are prey animals. In the wild, a sick bird is a targeted bird. Predators look for weakness. So over millions of years, birds evolved to do one thing when they feel unwell: hide it. Not consciously, not as a choice. It is hardwired into them at a biological level. A sick Quaker parrot will eat normally, move normally, call normally, burning energy it does not have, putting on a performance it cannot afford, because the alternative, in the wild, is death from a predator before the illness even takes hold. In your home, there is no predator, but the instinct remains. By the time a Quaker parrot looks visibly sick, sitting on the cage floor, eyes closed, feathers puffed constantly, the illness has usually been present for days, sometimes weeks. The signs that come before that moment are quiet ones, easy to miss, easy to explain away. These are the signs James missed. 3 weeks before that Tuesday, James noticed Milo's droppings looked different, slightly more watery than usual. The color a little off, not dramatically, just not quite the same as every other morning for 11 years. What James told himself, Milo had eaten a lot of fruit the day before. It was probably that. What it actually meant, a healthy Quaker parrot dropping has 3 distinct parts: a dark solid portion, a white urate section, and a small amount of clear liquid. When the liquid portion increases significantly, or when the color of the solid portion changes, green to yellow, dark to pale, that is the digestive system signaling that something upstream is not functioning correctly. It can indicate liver stress, kidney strain, infection, parasites. Any change in droppings that persists for more than 2 days and cannot be directly linked to a specific new food is a vet appointment, not a wait and see. James waited and saw. For 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks before Tuesday, James started noticing Milo sleeping in the afternoons, not his normal post-lunch nap, longer, more frequent, sometimes with one foot tucked up, eyes fully closed, in the middle of the day when he was usually his most active. What James told himself, Milo was getting older. 11 years. Maybe he just needed more rest. What it actually meant, a Quaker parrot that certainly sleeps more than its established pattern, is a bird whose body is diverting energy when the immune system is fighting something. Infection, viral illness, internal organ stress. The body pulls resources from everywhere else. Activity drops, sleep increases. It is the same mechanism in humans when we are sick and cannot get off the couch. The critical word here is suddenly. An older bird that has always napped in the afternoon, that is individual personality. A bird whose sleep pattern changes noticeably over the course of a week, that is the body asking for help. James saw the change. He explained it away. 2 weeks before Tuesday, Milo started leaving food in his bowl, not refusing to eat. He would go to the bowl, pick at things, seem interested, and then stop before he normally would. What James told himself, he had given Milo a big treat the evening before. He was probably just full. What it actually meant, this is one of the most important signs on this list and one of the easiest to miss because the bird is still eating. It has not refused food. It has not stopped going to the bowl. But appetite reduction in Quaker parrots, even partial reduction, is significant. Their metabolism runs so fast that a healthy Quaker parrot needs to eat consistently throughout the day. When that pattern changes, when the bowl is less empty than it usually is at the same time each day, the body is telling you that it does not have the energy or the digestive capacity to process food the way it normally would. Keep a mental baseline of how much your bird typically eats by a certain time of day. Not obsessively, just know your bird, because the deviation from normal is the signal, and you could only see a deviation if you know what normal looks like. I spoke to James while writing this video. I asked him, looking back, was there a moment when he almost called the vet? He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, yeah. About 10 days before, Milo was just sitting there in the afternoon, not asleep, not calling, just sitting, and something felt off. I almost picked up the phone. I asked him why he didn't. He said, because by the time I thought about it, Milo had started moving again, and I thought, Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was being paranoid. He was being paranoid. He was being perceptive. And then he talked himself out of it. I am not telling you this to make James feel worse. He agreed to let me share his story because he wanted it to mean something. This is what it means. Trust the moment when something feels off. You know your bird. You have logged thousands of hours of what normal looks like. When your gut says something is different, that is not paranoia. That is pattern recognition. That is 11 years of knowing Milo telling James something was wrong. Listen to that voice. Call the vet. Even if Milo starts moving again by the time you pick up the phone. 10 days before Tuesday, James noticed Milo's tail moving slightly with each breath. A gentle, rhythmic bob, up and down, barely visible unless you were looking for it. What James told himself? He had never noticed that before. Maybe Milo had always done it, and he just hadn't paid attention. What it actually meant, tail bobbing during breathing is one of the clearest respiratory distress signals a bird can show. When the lungs and air sacs are functioning normally, and Quaker parrots have a complex respiratory system with multiple air sacs that most people do not know about, breathing is invisible. You do not see effort. You do not see the body working. When something is compromising that system, infection, fluid, air sac disease, the body recruits additional muscles to help move air. The tail becomes part of the breathing mechanism. That bob is not nothing. That bob is your bird working harder than it should have to, just to breathe. If you see consistent tail bobbing at rest, not after flying, not after excitement, but just sitting quietly, that is an emergency appointment. Same day if possible. 1 week before Tuesday, Milo's call sounded slightly different. Not dramatically, not hoarse exactly, just softer. Less of the sharp clarity that had been his voice for 11 years, a little muffled, like he was calling from a slightly greater distance even when he was right there. What James told himself, Milo was getting quieter in his old age. It happened with people. Maybe it happened with birds too. What it actually meant, a change in vocal quality, reduced volume, muffled tone, raspiness, or a call that sounds like it requires more effort than usual, is a direct indicator of respiratory compromise. The syrinx, the structure Quaker parrots use to produce sound, sits at the junction of the trachea and the two bronchi. When anything in that area is inflamed, infected, or under pressure, the voice changes first. This is one of the earliest signs of serious respiratory illness, and one of the most dismissed, because it is subtle and it comes on gradually. Know what your bird's voice sounds like on a normal day. Not to analyze it, just to know it, so that when it changes, you hear it. On the morning of that Tuesday, James noticed one more thing. Milo was sitting at the bottom of his cage, not on his perch, not on the highest bar the way he always chose. On the floor of the cage, feathers slightly puffed, eyes open but not fully alert. James looked at him for a moment. He was already running late. He put fresh water in the bowl, topped up the seed, said "see you later, buddy," the way he had 10,000 times, and left for work. A Quaker parrot sitting on the floor of its cage is a medical emergency. By the time a bird has abandoned its perch, the place it instinctively goes because height means safety, height means survival, it no longer has the energy to maintain the most basic instinct it has. That bird is in crisis. That bird needed a vet that morning. Not that evening, that morning. James did not know. Now you do. I want to give you something concrete before this video ends. 6 signs, all of them quiet, all of them easy to explain away. Here is the one-sentence version of each one, so they stay with you. Dropping changes that last more than 2 days. Vet appointment, not wait and see. Sleeping more than its normal pattern. Not age, not mood. Body diverting energy. Eating, but not finishing. Know your bird's normal. Deviation is the signal. Tail bobbing at rest. Respiratory distress. Same-day appointment. Voice sounds different, softer, muffled, more effort. Respiratory system showing strain. Sitting on the cage floor. Emergency. Do not leave the house. And the one that sits above all 6. When something feels off, make the call. Not after work. Not this weekend. Not if it's still happening tomorrow. Now. Your instinct about your own bird is not paranoia. It is data. It is 11 years of Milo telling James something, and James almost hearing it. Do not almost hear it. At the end of our conversation, I asked James if there was anything he wanted people watching this to know. He thought about it for a long time. Then he said, "Tell them that the bird they have right now, the one calling their name, flying to their shoulder, sleeping on their chest, is not going to be there forever. And most of the time, the ending doesn't have to happen the way it happened with Milo. Most of the time, if you catch it early enough, you get more time. You have that time right now. Use it. Go check on your bird after this video. And if something feels different, trust that feeling. Make the call. If this video gave you something, like it, share it. It might be the video someone else needs to see before they need it. Subscribe to Quaker Mind and drop in the comments. How is your Quaker doing right now? I want to hear about the birds that are okay. The ones that are still calling your name in the morning. Tell me about them. I will see you next week.